우리 근처의 학교들은 다 소속돼 있는 일진 연합이 있는데 조폭처럼 활동한다고 하더라고.
근처에 또 나타나면 내가 다 죽여버릴 거라고.
Weak Hero Class 2 doesn't just end, it explodes into a full-on showdown. Si-eun and his friends take on Na-bik-jin and his gang the Yeon in one of the most intense brawls we've seen so far. It brings their whole war to a close, but just when you think it's all wrapped up, a mid-credits twist hits you with something new. Suddenly, Si-eun's not done fighting, there's another challenge waiting for him in his senior year. That scene alone has fans buzzing with theories, especially since it teases something bigger on the horizon. So now everyone's asking the same thing. Will there be a Weak Hero Class 3? While there's no official confirmation yet, the stars of the show have definitely dropped a few hints. And honestly, considering how successful the series has been, another season seems more likely than not. It makes sense because manhwa adaptations are absolutely blowing up right now. Weak Hero is proof of that. It's been dominating Netflix's non-English charts. Originally based on a 2018 manhwa by So Pass and Raisin, the live-action version has done more than just hold its own. It's climbed all the way to the top, even snagging the #1 spot on Netflix's global charts. That kind of success doesn't happen by accident. It shows there's real love for these characters and their stories. Netflix's own stats back that up. Weak Hero Class 2 pulled in over 6.1 million views and racked up 34.9 million hours watched. That puts it ahead of The Gardener, which had 4.9 million views, and The Glass Dome, which followed closely with 4.7 million. And those numbers aren't even the full story. When you look at the top 10 non-English shows, Weak Hero Class 1 still holds a respectable #8 spot with 1.9 million views and 10.5 million hours watched. That's a big deal, especially when both seasons are showing up in the rankings at the same time. It signals more than just a good run, it shows a franchise with staying power. Now, if you haven't jumped into the series yet, here's what you need to know. Weak Hero is about Si-eun, a super smart student who's not physically strong but refuses to back down from bullies. Instead of brawling, he uses strategy and brains to outthink his enemies. That twist on the classic underdog story is part of what makes it so compelling. He ends up forming an unlikely trio with a tough-as-nails fighter and a politician's son, and together they challenge the violent status quo at their school. In Class 1, we saw Si-eun face off against everyday bullies, but in Class 2, the danger levels up fast. This time, he's up against organized thugs with real power. And even though he's still the same sharp strategist, the stakes are way higher. What really pushed the second season forward was the introduction of the Yeon. They're not just a bunch of high school delinquents, they're organized, strategic, and ruthless. Each school involved has its own leader, but the main guy, Na-bik-jin, is the real threat. The show builds up to him as the big bad, and the final fight delivers exactly what fans were waiting for. But even after that clash, the story hints that it's far from over. Weak Hero Class 2 launched on April 25 and brought back familiar faces while adding a bunch of new ones. Si-eun ends up at Eunjang High after being expelled, but the new school isn't any safer. Violence follows him wherever he goes, and soon enough, he finds himself teaming up with new classmates like Park Ji-hoon, Seo Jun-tae, and Go Hyun-tak. Together, they push back against the bullies, forming a new alliance in the fight. Recently, in an interview with Screen Rant, actors Park Ji-hoon, Si-eun, and Choi Min-young, Jun-tae, talked about what they'd love to see if a third season happens. They were careful not to confirm anything, but their excitement was clear. Choi talked about how Jun-tae really stepped up in Season 2. He went from being closed off to someone willing to fight for his friends. So if Class 3 happens, Choi hopes Jun-tae continues growing into someone who protects others, not just by fighting, but by becoming a real leader in his own way. Park had his own ideas, and they were definitely a little darker. He wondered what might happen if Si-eun, who's always been morally grounded, loses the people he cares about. What if that pushes him to the edge and he goes rogue? It would be a major shift in tone, but it could open up a whole new storyline where he's forced to confront not just his enemies, but himself. Park made it clear that this was just speculation, but you can tell he's thought about it a lot. So what does this all mean for Weak Hero Class 3? Well, even though nothing's confirmed yet, the showrunners clearly set things up for more. The way Jin Tae's character evolves hints at a longer arc that's just getting started. He even said in the same interview that Si-eun was like a role model for him, someone who gave him the courage to stand up for what is right. That influence is bound to stick with him and keep shaping his choices in a future season. And then there are those 2 post-credit scenes. They don't just tease a new villain, they basically promise more conflict to come. So even though the stars are keeping things vague, the show itself is practically begging for a continuation. Let's also not forget that Weak Hero isn't just doing well for itself, it's paving the way for other manhwa adaptations too. Shows like Solo Leveling are crushing it on other platforms, which proves that audiences are totally here for these kinds of stories. If Netflix sees that trend, they're going to want to keep the momentum going. When you zoom out and compare numbers, Weak Hero Class 2 even held its own against major English language series. For example, Ransom Canyon got 9.4 million views and You Season 5 had 10.1 million. That puts Weak Hero just a step behind the biggest hitters on the platform, beating out big names like Black Mirror and Adolescence. Not bad for a show in Korean with a relatively niche origin. And then there's the fan love. On Rotten Tomatoes, Weak Hero boasts a 91% audience score, which says a lot. People aren't just watching it, they're loving it. Part of that has to do with how the show blends action with emotion. The fights are thrilling, but they're grounded in real stakes and character development. Every punch means something, and that keeps people hooked. So while Season 2 ties up some loose ends from Class 1, it also opens up a bunch of new doors. Si-eun's story isn't done, and neither are the stories of Jin Tae and the rest of the gang. The world of Weak Hero is still evolving, and based on how things ended, it's clear the creators have plans beyond what we've already seen. Also, the way the Union was introduced in Class 1's post-credit scene and then expanded in Class 2 shows the series likes to play the long game. They plant seeds early and let them grow across seasons. That storytelling style makes it feel like every detail matters, and fans are definitely picking up on that. So here's the bottom line. Weak Hero Class 3 might not be officially greenlit yet, but everything from the cast's enthusiasm to the show's performance suggests it's only a matter of time. The story has more to tell, the audience is hungry for it, and Netflix would be smart to keep riding this wave. Until then, fans can only wait and maybe rewatch that insane Class 2 finale a few more times. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Your suggestions for future videos are always welcome in the comments below.